great state of Texas. So we're going to be starting this session a little bit early. We have it scheduled for 2:35. I'll be introducing our guest speaker, Kylie John Clark. He's a peer supervisor at the Connection Center with the San Antonio Clubhouse. I'll let him give you all the great details of what he does and how he connects with folks at his place of work and how he provides the service there. We do just have one quick housekeeping item, a little bit differently than what we had previously. For some of you, LPCs, again, social workers, LMFTs who are joining us for your CEU codes, we're going to be posting those codes now at the beginning of our session. If you take a look at the very top, there is a link as we've been sharing previously, but our code is 1414. Go and write that down. In between our phone call, we'll go ahead and we will again share that once again to make sure everyone does receive that. And then towards the very end of today's session, we'll go ahead and wrap it up and we'll post the CEU codes. Remember that those CEU codes are specifically for those with licensing in the state of Texas. So again, thanks again. I hope you've had yourself a quick little break, a swig of water and a little snack. And Kylie, I think, are you ready?
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
All right. Well, Kylie, he follows great directions. As I was saying, take a drink. He actually did that. We'll make this humorous. We'll end it off with the rest of the day, and then we look forward to meeting you guys again tomorrow. But please hang in there so we can get those CEU codes at the very end of this session. Kylie, it is all yours.
Thank you, Manuel. I appreciate it. I'm so happy to be here, guys. Hope you have had an exciting day. I've been running around doing home visits with people that I'm working with, and I rented a U-Haul van, and I got stuck in traffic, and I barely made it here on time. So that's what my days usually look like as a peer support specialist. I thought I would start out with a little joke. It's one of my favorite little jokes. It's not super funny, but I like it anyway.
I'll give you the laughter.
Okay, thanks. You'll be my wingman, right?
I will.
So the mother knocks on her son's door and says, "Get up, time for church. Get dressed. Let's go. Let's go down to church." The son yells, "It's too early. I don't want to get out of bed. I'm comfortable. Leave me alone." The mom knocks on the, "Get up. Come on. I started the car. Get dressed. Let's go down to church." The kid says, "No, it's boring down there and people hate me. I don't like the church." Mom knocks on it. "You got 5 minutes. Get up and get dressed." The son says, "Give me one reason I should go to church today." And the mom says, "Because you're the pastor."
That's a very good one. We love early church jokes, and actually that applies quite well in my household with 3 children, and both of them are adults.
Yeah, and you scream at each other all the way there, and then you walk in and start praying to God to help you, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's kind of how I felt when they said I was doing this Pathways of Hope conference. I was like, "Why me?" And they said, "Because you're the head peer support specialist in the Connection Center, so you kind of have to do it." So, but I'm excited. I love peer support, and it's literally changed my life. And I hope that I can share some of the passion that I feel for peer support. And for people that are not really familiar, I hope that I can explain it to a little bit, better detail, because things have changed over the years. I kind of got grandfathered in, and now legislation has changed, and the way we become peer support specialists and all the requirements, and then how you integrate peer support into an organization is very, very, very confusing. And so fortunate for us, we were able to become a training base where we actually, do the 6-day training for peer support specialists. And we started an internship program so that we could help people, not only train them, but give them, on the job training so that they could get some experience as peer support specialists. And then help them fill out the application and all the stuff that they need to actually get certified through the state. So with that, Manuel, you want to go ahead and pull up the slides?
You are up.
I am up. All right.
You own the slides.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You got it.
Welcome to the Peer Academy, ladies and gentlemen. So the agenda looks like this. Meet your facilitator. That's me. What the heck is a peer support specialist? I hope to answer that question. What role does a peer support specialist play in a mental health organization? That's always a tricky question. You know, it's fairly new to Texas. Peer support has been all over the United States, especially in the northern states, for a long time. But really, Texas is just really starting to utilize peer support specialists, people that have lived experience with either recovery or mental health diagnosis themselves. And supervisors and organizations are often wondering, we've heard about this thing called peer support, but we have no idea how to use it in our organization. So hopefully we can drill down and discuss that. How do you get trained and certified as a peer support specialist? We'll definitely go through all those details. And how does the San Antonio Clubhouse integrate peer support specialists into their organization? So we'll tell you how we did it. Peer support was all new to the San Antonio Clubhouse. We created this whole program called the Connection Center. We got some of our members to become, go through the training and get certified. And we started out really slow, and we've been just really evolving, since we started. And it's really been a learning process, and there's a learning curve. And we've really had to reach out to other organizations to figure out how to do it. And we're still learning and pivoting every day, especially because of COVID. But we'll have like 20 minutes for a question and answer period. All right, meet your facilitator. Once again, my name is Kylie Clark. I've worked for over 16 years in social services. I'm a peer support supervisor at the Connection Center in San Antonio. I'm a certified peer support specialist, certified peer support supervisor, certified international. International. I can go all over the world and be a peer support specialist. Intentional, two different things. So I also am a NAMI facilitator, and I'm an advanced rap facilitator, and I'm also a meditation teacher at a place called Woke House. We do meditation groups on Saturday. So let me tell you a little bit deeper beside all those labels and all those, like some of you guys, I have a stack of certifications and little classes and workshops and things that I've done over the years. And it's something to put on a resume, and it's really nice to have all these different trainings, mental health first aid and rap facilitator and NAMI facilitator and all this stuff. That looks good on paper, and really, I just want to say that the only reason that I am so passionate about peer support is because it's the only occupation that I've ever found where everything that I used to be ashamed of, everything that I was trying to hide, all the mistakes that I made in my life, all my perceived weaknesses have become now strengths for me. Because I was an alcoholic and joined the 12-step program and found some recovery and some sanity in my life, that was a terrible situation back then. But everything that I learned during that dark time, I use every single day to help other people that are struggling with those same things right now. So I'm constantly reaching back into my past, drawing from my experiences, sharing those experiences with people, and telling them it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I'm gonna be beside you through this whole journey, and it's going to be all right. I was talking to a guy today. He was talking about how he didn't want a mental health assessment because he felt like he could deal with his mental health issues on his own. And I just reached into my past and I just said, hey, man, I remember I didn't want to go to a doctor. I didn't want to know if I had a mental health condition. I didn't want them to put me on medication. And that whole process sucked. I didn't like it. I know it's a scary thing for you to be going through this process, but I just want to assure you that if you do get this mental health diagnosis, then that's going to open up all kinds of services for you. It's going to open up housing. It's going to open up a benefit specialist. It's going to open a case manager. It's going to get you a doctor, medical and psychiatric. So it can be very scary to move forward. It could be very comfortable to not know and just try to deal with this on your own. I know, I've been there, but I'm saying on the other side of this, once we get through this tunnel, there's light on the other side. And so that's what I love, is that every single day I'm able to look at where I was, where I am today, and how I got here, and utilize all of that journey to help the next man or the next woman move forward. And I can be the kind of person that I wish that I had back then on that journey, because I had to do it on my own mostly. So to have a friend along for the ride that's been there before and knows where you're going, and can say, turn left here, turn right there, so you don't have to figure it out yourself, is a beautiful thing. And that's exactly what peer support is. So, part of my story is being raised. My father was an alcoholic. Excuse me. My father was an alcoholic. There was no violence in the house. It was just more like he had undiagnosed depression, and he had one coping skill, and that was alcohol. And he would go through these deep depressions where he wouldn't work. My mom was the primary breadwinner, and she worked nonstop. Unfortunately, she had undiagnosed PTSD from some childhood things that happened to her. And so mental health was never talked about in my family. My mom was trying to deal with her childhood trauma the best that she could. And it manifested itself in fear and trouble sleeping and nightmares. And my dad's, his depression manifested in alcoholism and sleeping for days and days without taking a shower and not changing clothes and stuff. And so we didn't understand any of this stuff. And for me, growing up, I just picked up my dad's coping skill because that was the only thing I really knew. And so I started participating in a lot of at-risk behavior. I started drinking a lot. And this all led to when I was 35 years old, my first wife left, and she took the kids, and she said, I'm tired of being with a drunk, and I'm not going to do it anymore. And that was my bottom. That's when I said, I don't care if I die. I don't care about my own life, but I'm not going to do this to my kids. My kids deserve a good father. And it was hard picking up the pieces. I had to couch surf. I was basically homeless for a minute there. And I had to walk everywhere because I lost my vehicle. And yeah, it was a dark time. And at age 35, my wife had always paid the electricity bill. She paid the water bill. She paid the rent. I didn't know how to adult. I got a crash course in Adulting 101, and I had to put on my big boy pants and find some sobriety and find some help. And at that time, I went to a doctor and I got a diagnosis, and I started on my journey of recovery. But that led me to here. That led me to here, sitting on a bouncy ball and facilitating this workshop with you beautiful people. And so that's why I love every single day I get to work on myself a little bit more and share that with others. All right, so let's go to what is a peer specialist. So Sam said this is kind of a long drawn out thing where they talk about, people being excluded from society and services because it's hard to navigate that on your own. And it's also hard to find common ground. I've known people that their only interaction with the world is going to see their doctor once a month. And they don't have a support system in place. They burnt a lot of bridges. And, once they leave that doctor's office, sometimes because they're suffering, they might forget their next appointment and might miss it, or transportation issues might arise, or any number of things. And so a peer support specialist come in almost like a professional friend and be that support for you between appointments. If you only have one doctor's appointment a month and it's on the 20th, going from the 20th to the 20th can be a struggle. So if you have a peer support specialist to help you, call you, check on you, remind you of that appointment, and even maybe going with you to those appointments, you're less likely to lose your services and stay engaged with your treatment plan. I don't think any of that is on this slide, but I'm putting it on there. All right. So I wrote this little phrase the people that came before you are always with you. Honor those that shed blood, sweat, and tears to make peer support a reality. And the reason I put that is there are people that have been doing peer support all the way back to the 1800s and probably before. There's so many stories of people being locked up in these old school, institutions where it was very barbaric. There was no medication. People were chained to the walls. People were left to lay around in their own feces, and people were temporarily locked up in those situations. They got better, miraculously, and left and turned around and went back to advocate for the patients that were there. And that's how we found real reform. People that have lived experience with the mental health system or the jails or the hospitals or any of these clinics, and utilized the services and found that people were actually suffering, and they went back and did their best to make change to help the next person to not have to suffer through what they did. And so peer support has been going back forever, and especially in the AA movement, having a sponsor is one of the key things to staying sober in AA, is because you find somebody that has more sobriety than you buddy up with them, and they help mentor you through the first couple of weeks and months and years of early sobriety, because they've been there and they've done that. So peer support has actually been around for a long time. It just hasn't necessarily been called that. All right. One of the roles of a peer support specialist is to be present. So that's literally a skill that you can develop and get paid for, to be present. How many people know it's kind of hard to be present sometimes? And a lot of times your therapist, your case manager, your social worker, your benefit specialist, they don't have a lot of time to just hold space with you and hear you out about, some anxiety that you're having around your relationships or something like that. A lot of times when you have a scheduled appointment, it's only for an hour, and they literally have to cover a certain amount of ground. Like, how is your medications working? Have you had decreased symptoms? Did you still want me to send that referral to housing for you? Boop, the hour's over, I got to go. Where a peer support specialist can come in and usually spend several hours with somebody, and multiple times throughout the week. And you can just be present with somebody and hear them out. And we'll discuss that in a little bit later. Walk along another person in whatever journey they're on without judging them, making them feel inadequate, trying to fix them, or trying to impact the income. So holding space with somebody and letting them figure out their journey. Everybody has their own higher power. Everybody has the journey that they have to make. A peer support specialist is not there to problem solve. A peer support specialist is there to be present with you as you figure out your own problems. We can provide resources. We can tell you about how we did it, but we can't lead or guide you or do anything for you. And that's important. Person-centered is all about the person. It's not about the treatment plan or what the doctor says or any of that stuff. We're just about you and what do you want and what kind of life do you want to live. And that can be kind of difficult sometimes when you're a part of a treatment team and a case manager is saying, well, I really need them to do this. And the doctor's saying, I really need them to do that. And you basically got to hold that space of, I know you want me to try to talk them into doing these things, but really it comes down to, what do they want? What kind of life do they want to live? If they want to discontinue services, or if they don't want to go utilize services at Haven for Hope, whatever it is, I'm there to support that and help them through that. All right, peer roles are intentional, mutual, reciprocal, and authentic. That means that the person that I'm working with, we're equals. I'm just kind of there as a buddy. I'm not trying to stand over them or become a mini clinician or anything like that. I'm actually giving a part of myself, and they're giving their part of their self. There's boundaries there, but we're sharing in this experience together. It's intentional. And at times I might vent to them about my own life, and that's perfectly fine. And plus, I'm going to be sharing my story. Usually after I work with somebody for a while, they know everything about me up to my childhood. And that's not something that a clinician or a doctor or somebody has, it's not in their job description to share about their life. It's very professional, and there's a purpose for it. And everybody has their place on the treatment team. Whereas my place is maybe just sharing some of the rough times in my life so that they realize that recovery is possible. All right. Another part of a peer support specialist role is to connect. All right. To simply connect and relate through human experience and strengths, regardless of the diagnosis, circumstances or outcomes. It is not about the goal. It is about the journey. So let me take a little drink of this tea here. So one of the key things that a peer support specialist needs to learn is interpersonal skills, because a lot of times we're dealing with our own mental health issues. We're constantly practicing our own wellness tools. Maybe we're seeing our own doctor, our own therapist. Maybe we're taking medication. We're working on things on our own, but we can't let what we're dealing with override the person that we're working with. And self-care is super important. If we can't stay well, we can't help anybody else. So regardless if we're having a kind of bad day, it's our job to focus on the person and to always be present. This slide says warm, empathetic, non-judgmental, meeting the whole person. And so sometimes you're not really feeling it and you might be struggling yourself, but you got to put on your peer support hat and say, you know what? When I clock out, I can deal with my own issues. Right now, I'm here for this person, and I'm here to accept them and listen and hold space and be with them on their journey. And after work, then I'll go see my sponsor. I'll go to my support group. I'll talk to my doctor. And a lot of skills that a peer support specialist always has to work on is being able to help somebody think through what their next step might be. And that's not always clear how to do that. And so by shutting up and listening, and then throwing out a little bit of your story, and then shutting up and listening some more, and then finding out what the actual problem is, and then turn it around to there's various options. I can help you research that. These are all kind of like a give and take. We're not trying to problem solve. It's almost like it's kind of like a weight counterweight, jinjitsu, to you not becoming the person trying to solve the problem. You're just kind of interacting enough to find out which direction do they want to go and how you can help with that. All right. So it's all about relationship building. There's a lot of people that have been burnt in the mental health system. A lot of people that don't want to go back and utilize services because of, negative things that happened when they tried to do that the last time. A peer support specialist can really work on that relationship, build trust, and say, if you're willing to try it again, this time what's different is I'm with you. And that's what's going to make the difference. I know Bob, I know Mary, I know Jill, I know people that work in the back office. And when we get there, I'll just call them and tell them to come out. You won't have to talk to the receptionist. You won't have to wait in line. You won't have to try to call several times and not get an answer or a call back. I can help you with all that stuff. So if you're willing to move forward with this again and give it another shot, I'm willing to take that journey with you. And so that makes all the difference in the world. And for somebody to trust you with their lives, that's a sacred vocation. All right. What role does the peer support specialist play in an organization? All right. So you probably can't see this real well. Manuel, can you see this slide, or is it blurry? I've lost Manuel.
I am here, and it looks great.
Okay.
Yep.
I just wanted to hear your voice.
Oh, thank you.
I feel so alone.
No, we're here together. I'm rooting for you.
You're supporting me. You're supporting me.
And if you can see all the chat box,
I can't. So maybe we can address some of the things in the chat box in a little bit. Yep. Okay. So this goes back to like the treatment plan, right? The difference between a clinician and a peer support specialist. So sometimes a treatment team our doctor, they want to see decreased hospitalization. They want to see someone that's abstinent from alcohol and drugs. They want to see less hospitalization. They want to see some realistic expectations for their life, right? Or maybe even like a judge or a probation officer or something will want you to go to AA to get your card signed. They don't care. You're being forced to do these things. Whereas a peer support specialist comes in and says, okay, that's what they want for you, but what do you want for yourself? And 9 times out of 10, it's the same with everybody. We want to have fun. We want to have friends. We want to have pets. We want a place to call our own. We want to have some joy in our life. We want to have some meaning in our life. We want to connect to something bigger than ourselves. And so that's where the peer support specialist says, hey, your clinicians, your probation officer, the judge, they want you to accomplish these things. But what do you want? I'm here to help you get what you want out of life. Do you want to be a part of a group or an organization? Do you want a place to volunteer? Do you want a mentor? Do you want to, whatever it is, let's work on that together. And so for sometimes the first time, that's the first time they've ever been asked, like, what do you want? I know what's on your treatment plan, but what do you want for yourself? And you can see their eyes kind of light up when you're talking in that everyday human language outside of the clinical language. All right, so be present, to be self-aware, to give yourself permission to not know the answer or to be able to fix it. A lot of times I say, I wish I had a magic wand and I could just fix both of our lives. But unfortunately, my magic wand is broken today. I don't really have any resources for you. I really don't know how we're going to fix this problem, but I can sit here and listen to you and hang out with you and we can discuss it. And maybe tomorrow some new resource will come up that can help you with this situation. In the meantime, I can keep you company until the universe provides the answer to us. And that can be triggering to the peer support specialist to be constantly put in situations where they're telling you some big traumatic thing and your heart rate starts going up and you're like, oh my God, I need to fix this. I need to help them. I need to have the right answer. I need to know what to do. And then to step back and say, no, I don't have to fix this. I can just sit with the uncomfortability of this situation. Me being here, me being present, me being aware, giving of myself, that's enough. That's enough. I don't have to have the right answer or the right resource or the right person to call. Bringing myself here today is doing enough. Who knows what tomorrow will bring. All right, I was going to play this video, but I think I'm going to skip it. It's a really beautiful video called It's Not About the Nail. And it's about holding space and doing reflective listening. So this lady she has a nail in her head. I don't know if you can see that. And she's telling her boyfriend or a friend on the couch, she's saying, I got this splitting headache. Every time I try to put on a sweater, my sweater gets ripped. Just like a pounding migraine. I don't know. And her friend keeps saying, well, you have a nail in your head. And she's like, it's not about the nail. You won't let me finish. You won't never let me talk. You're always trying to fix my problems. Why can't you ever listen? And then at the end of the video, she says, it's just, I don't know what to do. I just can't figure it out. My head is just hurting all the time. And you can see the guy's face. He's just like trying to bite his tongue until blood is coming down his lip. And he's like, that must be really hard. I'm sorry you're going through this. And she goes, oh, thank you so much for listening. And so it's a really beautiful example of holding space for somebody and not trying to fix it, not trying to have the answer. And I think if you have a mom or anybody that loved you in the past, you know what it's like being around somebody that's constantly trying to fix things for you. Sometimes that's not what you need. And plus, to grow up an adult, you need to learn how to solve your own problems. All right, so reflective listening, just like I said, the guy was saying, wow, that must be really tough. I understand where you're coming from. Like, I've been in a similar situation. And that's also like saying, so I hear you saying that you're having headaches all the time. That has to be terrible. You're just showing the person that you're listening and that you're attentive. Yeah, I put, yeah, that sucks, man. I hear you. Sounds to me like you feel stuck in this situation. Am I right? Yeah. So that's a skill. Just being present and listening and kind of reflecting back what somebody's telling you. That makes all the difference in the world to somebody that feels like they're never being listened to. And we get that here in the connection centers. You know, we're working with some people that they feel like they have to scream and they have to be in crisis. Or if I'm not yelling, people are not listening. I never get my needs met unless I'm screaming. And it takes time for us to kind of help them gear down to, after about the 6th or 7th time we're working with them, they realize they don't have to always be in crisis. They don't always have to be yelling for us to listen. They can whisper and we're still going to listen. And we're still going to help them. But if you have this learned experience your whole life that nobody really pays attention to you unless you're in crisis or yelling, it's learned behavior. So sometimes it takes a while to help somebody understand that there are people that will listen to a whisper. All right, a snippet is basically one of the biggest tools. The biggest tool that a peer support specialist has is the ears. Just listening and finding out how you can help or how you can be a part of the situation. The next tool is the snippet. When I first heard snippet, I thought they were those little cheese crackers by Nabisco, but no, those are Cheez-Its. Those are not snippets. Snippets are actually part of your story. So a peer support specialist will learn how to tell their own recovery story, an hour long, 30 minutes long, 20 minutes long, 5 minutes long, 3 seconds long. So oftentimes, one of the ways that you support people is, like I said, when they're suffering, you just kind of go back into your own life and you kind of go through your Rolodex of when you were feeling like that, and you'll say, you know what? And it actually happened, earlier today at that home visit. This guy was having to live with his mom, and he once owned a home, and he had kids, and he was married, and he's kind of lost everything. And after, just in the normal conversation, I just said, man, one time I kind of hit bottom, and I was a homeowner too, and I had kids, and I had to move in with my dad, and I didn't want to do that. It really, really sucked, and it affected my self-esteem and affected everything. And man, like I understand where you're coming from, and you could just see him go, oh wow, yeah. So once again, you're modeling that even though people go through rough things and life throws you a curveball, recovery is possible. You can always get back on your feet. And so telling a little bit about yourself, that's what a snippet is. All right, role of a peer specialist to foster growth. Okay, so this is a kind of controversial slide, is that peer specialists can also help somebody understand their discontent. We don't actually put a person in a chair and set the chair on fire. So that's not literal. It's about when somebody keeps coming to you with this problem, you help them realize how stuck they actually feel and how terrible it is that if they don't make a change, they're always going to feel stuck. And you might even talk about times in your life when you felt stuck. And it was like when you finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's when you finally got the motivation to move forward. And so when somebody keeps coming to you with the same problem, you just reinforce that. I know it sucks. You've told me it sucks. I get it. I know. But where are we going to go from here? We can't stay in the problem. We have to move to the solution. And I'm willing to help you with that. So how do we move forward from the problem and get into the next step of growth? So a peer support specialist will talk about, and we'll, realize that there's times that people think that their life is limited. At other times you meet with them, they think change is possible. Sometimes you'll meet with them and they'll think, that they have a commitment to change. Maybe they're ready to take action to fix the situation. And then the very next time they might be right back into the life is limited mind frame. And I think that all of us kind of rotate around that on any given day. So just kind of keeping that in mind, you never know, who you're talking to on that day. Sometimes they'll come in with a lot of motivation and want to go ahead and fill out that job application, to put in a bunch of resumes, to do a lot of stuff. But then the very next time you see them, you might think, oh my God, like they relapsed last night. They don't want to do anything. They've already missed a couple of appointments. If you realize that it's kind of going to always be fluctuating until they start capitalizing on small successes and seeing that they are getting some forward movement, it might kind of rotate around that for a while. So there's no comfort in the growth zone, and there's no growth in the comfort zone. So if you're super comfortable, you're probably not growing as a person. But if you're growing and you're achieving and you're trying new things, it might feel very uncomfortable. And so that's one of the things that you can explain to, I had a guy come to me one time and he's like, I'm going to quit my job, man. I'm going to quit my job. Every time my boss walks in, I get nervous and I get a knot in my stomach. I start sweating. I think my mental illness is not going to let me have this job. And I said, how long, you've been there like a week? Yeah, I've been there a week. I'm really stressed out when my boss walks in. I said, dude, I've been here for 4 years. I still get stressed out when my boss walks in. In every job I've ever had, I get stressed out when my boss walks in, That's common. That's a human emotion, So, you're feeling uncomfortable because you're in the growth zone. You're trying something different. You're not used to these feelings. I get it. I can help you with that. Let's talk about it.
Hey, Kylie.
Yes.
Could I just interrupt you for a quick second here?
Sure.
So we have a question that's out here. Good information that you're sharing. However, one person is asking, Lori is asking, how does one find a peer support specialist to talk to in the area? I don't know if you're leading up to that, but boy, at this point, you're selling us on this whole peer specialist, and we're kind of excited to find out more about how do you find that.
Well, I tell you what, why don't you let me shoot forward a little bit to how does one become a peer support specialist? And then just talk briefly about how we integrated peer support into the clubhouse, and then we'll jump into the Q&As.
All right, fantastic.
So give me about maybe 4 minutes.
Go for it.
So if you're interested in becoming a peer support specialist here in Texas, I just want to briefly explain how that's done. So if you want to go to a great, this is an infomercial to sell our peer training product. No, I'm just kidding. But the Connection Center at the San Antonio Clubhouse is a peer training entity. So you can take your 6-day training to work towards your certification here at the Connection Center. Now you can always email me or call me and I can help you with that. But every month we have a 6-day training to help you in your process. And then after that, we can help you with your application to the peer certification board. You'll have to get an FBI background check. We also have a peer internship program here at the Connection Center to help you get your 250 supervised hands-on experience hours in peer support that you'll need for your state certification. And we can explain all that to you at another time. And we also talk about it during the training. So there was no peer support specialist at the clubhouse. What the San Antonio Clubhouse is really a club, and there's over 650 clubhouses around the world. The one is here in San Antonio. We've been here for 18 years, and the clubhouse is generally just a place where you come and volunteer, be around other people, work in the culinary unit, work in the business unit, work in the farm unit, and just get out of the house and be around people, do something meaningful. But we found out that people were struggling and people needed resources and people needed to talk. And there wasn't a lot of time for that downstairs in the clubhouse. So I had already been a peer support specialist. My previous job was at Center for Healthcare Services. And so we started playing around with this idea of bringing in peer support specialists, going upstairs, opening an office, and starting to provide services and supports that weren't common to the clubhouse community. And so we did that. So it goes back to June 2018, and we've just been growing and building and doing various things as we moved forward. And we found that it really works well in this environment. If somebody's downstairs and they're really struggling or they need resources, they can come up here and speak to one of 5 peer support specialists that can help them out. And we're open to anybody in San Antonio, not just the people at the clubhouse. We're open to anybody in Bexar County. And you don't need a referral. You just need to email us or call us, and we'd be happy to meet with you. And if you have somebody that you're trying to refer to us, we can discuss it. And yeah, so our services are not limited to the clubhouse. They're open to anybody basically in the world. We've done classes and workshops and trainings with people in Hawaii, California, and we've seen people from all over Bexar County and outside of Bexar County. All right, so on any given day, we have a COVID support group on Mondays. We have a peer specialist group just for peer specialists to get together and hang out and talk about, and share resources on Tuesdays. We do a NAMI Connections group on Wednesdays. Community health workers or navigators are similar to peer support specialists. We created a support group just for them. So we're really getting into helping the helper. Like, we want to keep peer support specialists well so they can help others. We want to keep community health workers well so they can help other people. And so that's one of our interests. And then we do a rap cafe every Friday. Twice a week, we do emotional wellness workshops that are 7 hours long. And of course, all of this is online right now because of COVID. And then once a month, we do a peer support training. All right. So in closing, peer support is all about, yay, cheerleading people when they're going through difficult times, seeing the light where they can't see it, seeing the best in them before they can see it in themselves, seeing hope and carrying hope for them when they don't see hope for themselves. All right. So,
Kylie, I'm
yes.
sorry. Could I have
Mhm.
you just go back? I think 2 more slides. 1 more. There you go. Just
Mhm. Our wellness workshops is actually RAP. It's really RAP 101 if you're familiar with RAP, but we kind of use the name Emotional Wellness Workshops. We do that twice a week. Each workshop is 7 hours long, and it's really beneficial. You don't have to have a diagnosis. You basically just have to be in this body right now. We're all struggling. And so the emotional wellness workshops are really good for anybody right now. And that's right there on that page. Is that good, Manuel? All right. So there's my email address. There's my phone number. Call me, email me. I'm always available to anybody that wants to know anything about peer support. And we can jump into the Q&A if you'd like to, Manuel.
All right. It looks like Manuel's having some technical difficulties. I'll be answering the questions. Can y'all hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Foo folks are saying that there's some problems, or that they were wondering what the website at the bottom of those slides were. If y'all just want to go ahead and email email Kylie. It's Kylie, Kiley at saclubhouse.org. And he will get you all the information that y'all need from those slides. So the question that we have is actually from Manuel. It says, is the slide compared to assisting with creating boundaries?
What was the slide about? Yeah, so one of the situations that you run into often with peer support is because you are that professional friend. Sometimes you don't know how to set healthy boundaries, and the person that you're working with, by all intents purposes, you seem like a very caring person, and so sometimes it's misconstrued as, is this my boyfriend? Is this my girlfriend? Are we best friends now? What are we doing here? And so to be able to navigate that complicated, I'm your peer support specialist, and yes, I do care about you, but you can't call me at midnight every night. You can't show up at my house. Like I will have scheduled appointments and we'll meet. I might be able to bring you a box of food this week, but I can't do this all the time. Or my job is to connect you to mental health services. I can't take you to visit your kids on the weekend. So setting those safe, healthy boundaries is good for you as a professional, but also to model for them how to set healthy boundaries with other people.
Wow. Boundaries. They sound like something everyone needs. All right. So Maria asks, do you give CU hours at your workshops?
We do. So the emotional wellness workshops are good for 6 hours of regular CEUs and 1 hour of ethics CEUs. But let me say one thing though. The only people that accept our CEUs is the Texas Peer Certification Board. Not just anybody. You can't use the CUs for every. And so mostly we're working with people that are training to become peers. They become peers, and sometimes they take our emotional wellness workshops and they use those CEUs to re-qualify in 2 years for their peer support license. And so those CEUs are only good with the Texas Peer Certification Board. You can't use them everywhere.
Okay, so they are state specific.
Right.
Okay, great. And we have Nancy. She asks, do you interface with other clubhouses nationwide and worldwide?
What was the last part?
Do you interface with other clubhouses that are nationwide and worldwide?
Oh yeah, definitely. And so we provide software for clubhouses around the world. It's something called Flourish. And so we're interacting with clubhouses all over the world because they use this software that we designed. And then we also do staff enrichment trainings with clubhouses all over the world for people that work at clubhouses. A lot of them take our wellness recovery workshops. And then a lot of clubhouses are now emailing me because they want to open a connection center because the need is great, you know, and you just don't have the bandwidth to help people that have a lot of needs in the clubhouse work order day. You actually need like a connection center that have some either one or multiple peer support specialists that can really take time out of their day to help somebody that has a lot of needs.
That's amazing. Maria has a follow-up question. Oh, hi, Manuel. We're just going to have a quick follow-up question, and then we'll let you continue taking it on. So it looks like Maria asks, are the CU hours good for LPC or not good for LPC?
They wouldn't be good for LPC.
Not. Okay.
It's very specific to the people that do the peer support renewals for your peer support certification.
Got it. Thank you. All right, Manuel, can you hear us all right?
I can. My office, the office I'm at, they had a disruption with the broadband, so they had to quickly reboot it.
I'm so glad they could get you back. Here we go. I'll duck out and let Manuel and Kylie take back over.
I do have some other ones that did come up. And just to clarify, you did say that once a month, is it a 6-day continuous training? And what does those hours look like for the continuous training for those 6 days?
So for the peer support training, it's usually 4 hours on a Friday afternoon and then Monday through Friday of the following week. So a peer support core training is 4 to 6 hours. And that's basically saying, do you know what peer support is? Are you sure you want to do this? Because the core training is $65. And so you spend $65 just to hear a lot about what the training is going to be and more. And you can hear from people that have lived experience as peer support specialists telling you what the job looks like. And some people might decide that actually don't want to take the 5-day training. That's fine. But most people do decide during the core training that they do want to move on to the 5-day training. The 5-day training is $650. And then that's very intensive, teaching skills and knowledge and hearing a lot of stories about being a peer support specialist. And what's one good thing about our training is that we are a vocational rehab vendor for Texas Workforce Solutions. So if you don't have the money, it's actually, $715 altogether, $65 and $650. If you don't have $715, you can get connected with TWS, Texas Workforce Solutions, and they'll pay for your training.
Well, that's a great solution and resource. Thanks for give us that tidbit. Especially right now during COVID, there was 22 million people that was without jobs, either temporarily or permanently. So that's good to hear about the TWS or TWC. Now, once again, just for clarification, the $65, is that a 1 day deal, just kind of as an introductory,
Yeah, and
versus a 650?
yeah, and it's actually mandatory. So you have to take the core training, and that's just 1 day. We usually run it from 12 to 4 on a Friday. And basically 4 hours of hearing us say, this is what the training is going to look like. This is what the job looks like. This is what a peer support specialist, this is what your kind of job description is. How hard it is, how great it is, how wonderful it is, the trouble that you might run into. And that's just $65. And nine times out of 10, people, they've researched it on their own. They know what it is. So just basically a little bit extra information before they go into the 5-day training.
Got it. And then the 5-day training, again, it's 650, and the the only facility that's actually certified to teach it is the clubhouse here in San Antonio.
The Connection Center at San Antonio Clubhouse, yeah.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Okay, great. And I'm sorry to interrupt. We do have a lot of individuals. There was over 2,500 people who are on this conference as of today. So we would definitely recommend, if you are interested, take a look at the resources, right, in your own town, your own cities, even your own states. Kylie did say that there's over, was it 600 clubhouses nationally?
Yeah, all
Okay.
around the world.
So I don't know specifically if all the clubhouses are a go-to place that provides this type of training, but it is definitely a well worth option if you're looking into that.
Yes. So I can already tell you that a normal clubhouse wouldn't be providing peer support training. Peer support is all new to the clubhouse movement. Clubhouses generally are just a safe place to go during the day, to find a place to volunteer and be around other people and do some meaningful work and create relationships and friendships. We're one of the few clubhouses that have started a connection center to employ and train in peer support.
Okay. And I do have another question that's appearing here. In regards to the clubhouse, you did mention that it's kind of a transitional to get people back into the workforce. Can you elaborate a little bit more about the clubhouse and its offerings?
Yeah, so you have to have one of the top 6 mental health diagnoses to get into our clubhouse, at least. And that's bipolar, schizophrenia, schizoaffective depression, anxiety, or PTSD. And it's you self-identify. You don't need something from a doctor or anything like that. So you would email me or go to the website, San Antonio Clubhouse website, and you just say that you would like to know more about the clubhouse and what it's like to join. And we schedule either an in-person meeting with you or over the phone or Zoom. We tell you everything about the San Antonio Clubhouse. The Connection Center is actually the front door to the clubhouse. So anybody trying to join the clubhouse downstairs, they usually contact one of us here in the Connection Center. And so we'll just tell you all about it. And then there's a really simple application. And you would just kind of check off what your diagnosis is and give us some, just a little bit of information, and we'll put you in our system and you become a member. And so then you can interact with us online. Downstairs, the clubhouse is doing stuff all day long with our members, and we're doing upstairs in the Connection Center. We're doing all kind of stuff that I just showed you earlier in the Connection Center. So you can get access to all of this stuff. And then when we reopen, you can come here physically and hang out with us and get involved. So once again, the Connection Center we came from the clubhouse, but we provide services to anybody. You don't have to become a member of Clubhouse or anything to get services at the Connection Center. But in order to interact with the clubhouse, you do have to become a member of the San Antonio Clubhouse to do what they're doing downstairs.
Fantastic. And now with a peer specialist, do they work underneath a certified licensed professional counselor? Do they work with social workers? Who is their go-to supervisor, such as yourself, and what kind of credentials do they need as a supervisor?
Well, so I'm not sure what you're asking there. Here at the Connection Center, I am the supervisor, and I have a certification to be a peer specialist supervisor. I think it's a 2 or 3 day training that I went through. We also have 2 other people that are supervisors. So I kind of help run the connection center. And because we don't do any billable services, we don't need an LCDC or LCP or a doctor or anything signing off on our work. So we're kind of
answered that. That was good. Good answer.
Yeah, we're free to do whatever we want here because we're not doing billable services.
Man, that's like the $1 million answer there.
Mm-hmm.
No billing services. Okay. Great. Are you guys doing anything a little bit differently beyond virtual connection groups during COVID that we can take away from your services?
So I don't know if you're asking about like this stuff. Monday through Friday,
Okay.
we're doing stuff online. So the COVID Zoom cafe, and we're calling them cafes because it's not a workshop, it's not a support group, it's just a place for people to meet and hang out and talk,
Okay.
So sometimes we bring some slides or some topics for discussion, but we probably need as much support as you do. And we're learning from people too. So we call them a cafe, bring some coffee, sit down, let's Zoom. Let's talk about how COVID is affecting all of our lives.
Okay.
And then the same thing if you're a peer support specialist or thinking about becoming one, you can come to the Tuesday one.
Okay.
And then, of course, everybody knows what NAMI is. And then if you're a community health worker, you can go to the Thursday one. If you want to know about wellness, self-care, and optimism, you can go to the Rap Cafe on Fridays. And like I said, we have the workshops that are all day long.
All right. Wonderful. So I'm going to ask a question to the entire crowd that's on this session. If this is something that you find extremely interesting and you'd like more information about, again, becoming a certified peer specialist, why don't you go ahead and just put the word me inside your chat session, ME. I guarantee that we're not going to go follow you, send you any kind of literature, but it's just nice to kind of see how this resonates with our crowd. I'll be the very first one to put the word me inside there, and it will give everybody just about 30 seconds. And then Kylie, I think this will kind of give you a little bit of a foreseeable interest, right?
Yeah.
How many folks are really interested in here. Now, once again, NAMI San Antonio is the host for this conference, but considering the amount of registrants that we got, there's a lot of folks who are joining us across the nation and even globally. So there's a lot of me's out there.
Cool. So I want to clarify two things real quick. So if you're going to be a mental health peer support a mental health peer support specialist, you have to self-identify with lived experience with a mental health situation. You don't have to be going to a doctor. You don't have to be taking medication. You don't have to do anything. You just have to self-identify as somebody that has struggled with depression, anxiety, PTSD, or something like that. Because to help somebody, you got to have something to draw from. So to model what recovery looks like in mental health, you have to be recovered from something.
Very good.
And so we do only the trainings in mental health peer support training. There is something called a recovery peer support specialist, and that person doesn't have to have a diagnosis. They have to have lived experience with drugs or alcohol or addiction. And so that's a whole nother track. It's very similar. The training is very similar, a lot of the same words, but it has nothing to do with having a diagnosis. It's all to do with addiction. And so there's those kind of recovery peer support specialists. But here at the Connection Center, we focus mostly on mental health. Some people that we work with, they might have a dual diagnosis of mental health and addiction. But we're all certified as mental health peer support specialists. And that's the type of training and the internship and the applications and all the stuff that we help people fill out for state certification.
And Kylie, that's you're giving out golden answers there. That's extremely important, especially, what we're going through right now, right, with COVID. And a lot of folks are just going through life with high levels of anxiety. We have a lot of folks, young adults, millennials who are returning back to school, whether it's universities and colleges. And so there definitely is a huge need for relationship building and just being a friend and sharing with other people resources of this type. So I'm really glad to hear this. Now, Kylie, I can't guarantee this, but once we end this session, you might get about 2,500 phone calls on your voicemail, as well as emails. If we have someone who is joining us, say from the state of Montana or
Yeah.
Idaho, what would be the best suggestion, and who should they get in contact with to minimize some of the traffic going directly back to you?
I will say that's my cell phone. So, now that you say that, I'm questioning whether or not I should have put my cell phone on that slide.
That's
But
quite
yeah,
okay.
my email address is the best. I can answer my email at night, on the weekends, when I find time. So if I get 100 emails, it's not a big deal. But if I get 100 phone calls, that might be my wife might
Overwhelming.
not like that.
Okay. So would the appropriate answer would be take a look at the resources in your own state, your own cities, and then reach out to someone there instead of Kylie.
Yeah, definitely. And there are other places that teach peer support. I know not Via Hope in Austin, and there's other places. So if you Google, peer support training, Ohio, peer support training, Texas, peer support training, Montana, you'll see, you do your own research. Try to do your own research first. And if you can't figure it out, then email me.
Fantastic. And with that being said, um, I do want to advocate once again that the conference is being hosted by NAMI San Antonio. So if
Mm.
you are joining from another location, another state, another country, then just like Kylie said, feel free to go out to Google, look at those resources that are available at your own place, and see what kind of support is available. I will tell you that the smaller the rural the town it is, they probably do connect with more of a greater metro city like San Antonio. So if there's folks, maybe in the New Braunfels area or maybe in Kerrville, Seguin, and I'm just throwing a couple of suburban or smaller towns around from San Antonio. We definitely do welcome you to join some of the again connection groups and educational groups, because everything right now is virtual. But thanks, Kylie.
So can I say something real quick? Yeah, I'm proud
Please.
to be a NAMI facilitator. Every Wednesday we do an online NAMI group, NAMI Connections, and of course everything that we provide is online now because of COVID. And when we return, we'll be doing stuff in person, and we'll continue the virtual stuff. And our peer training is good for anybody in Texas. So if you live anywhere in Texas, you can take our online peer support training, the 6-day training, and we can still virtually work with you in any way to help you get certified to the state. But one of the last things I want to touch base on, something that you said earlier, we're starting to see people suffer from mental health issues that never suffered from issues before. Case in point, my own daughter left for college this year,
Mhm.
and I went and unloaded all her stuff and dropped her off there in that town, and then a month later she was asking to come back because
Mm.
no resources, no friends, COVID, starting to have symptoms of depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and no support system in that town. So today, that's what I went to go get a U-Haul van so I could go this weekend and pick up her stuff and bring her home so she can take her classes online. But at the Connection Center, we're starting to hear more and more from people that don't necessarily identify as having bipolar, schizophrenia, clinical depression. They're just feeling something that they're not used to, and they want to talk to somebody. And that's why we're starting to gear our services away from, you got to have bipolar, you got to have schizophrenia, you got to have. Now we're just saying, if you're in your skin right now, in this mess that we're all living through, contact us. We can support you emotionally and try to find some way to give you somebody to talk to.
Right. Fantastic. Um, great topic. I think it's extremely relevant. I do want to just remind everyone that we will be back on tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning. We're going to have our keynote speakers once again in the morning session. And then for those of you who will be joining again to earn your CEUs, we'll do it very similar like we did today. Hang out with us after lunch, those breaks, and then we'll have a different track session that will be very similar like today. I have to say that Nowcast has done a phenomenal job today with technology. If you agree with that, go ahead and put a quick yes inside your chat box. We definitely are looking at all of their chats for today as takeaways and lessons learned. If there was anything else that we could have done differently to make the experience that much more better, feel free to add that inside here. And we definitely look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow. Kylie, you have a few extra minutes here. Um, if you have any last closing thoughts.
I'll tell you a story that happened to me that I kind of tear up every time I think about it. Is this guy called us randomly? How he even heard of us, I don't know. I scheduled an appointment for after I clocked out already. I just said, come on in, man. It sounds like you're struggling. I'm already clocked out, but I'm in no hurry to go home today. So he showed up, and the guy was 35 years old, no experience with mental health before. He got fired from a job. It wasn't his fault. Something happened with the truck. He damaged the vehicle unintentionally. He got fired. He fell behind on his rent. So him and his girlfriend and their child had to move out of that apartment and move in with mom. All kind of struggles that affected his self-esteem. And he was just down and needed somebody to talk to. And so I brought him in here, and we were just having a common conversation. And like I said, peer support is about listening. So I let him do all the talking. And at the end, I said, man, it just sounds to me like you had a turn of bad luck, and you're doing everything you can to pull out of it. You're intelligent. It sounds like you have skills. You're very well spoken. I think that you're going to do great. It sounds like you're a hard worker. I think you just keep plugging forward, and something's going to break for you. Your luck's going to turn around. I don't think that you're having a mental health issue or necessarily bipolar or schizophrenia or something like that, you know? And so we talked a little bit longer, and then I walked him out, and we walked to the staircase, and he was about to go down to the staircase, and he turned around and he looked at me, and he said, you know, I'm 35 years old, and nobody has ever looked me in the eyes and said that you're smart, you're intelligent, you're a hard worker, and you have the skills to make it out of this. And so I felt like that was a terrible situation where somebody could go 35 years without somebody cheerleading, somebody supporting them, and somebody speaking blessings over them and telling them how valuable they really are. And so by the grace of God, I get to do that every day. I get to encourage others, and I get to show them themselves. They're valuable, they're worth something, and they're going to make it.
Well, Kylie, thank you so much for just sharing passion. I can definitely hear that. I see it all over your expression. I love what, you keep comparing that to be a cheerleader. I think everyone in life needs that. And that last story really means a lot to myself and everyone who's joining on here. We're going to be open here for a few extra minutes. If you would just do me one huge favor, everyone, if you're still around, if you can share one valuable takeaway that you've learned from today's event, please, we would love to hear from you. And we certainly are looking forward to a great return tomorrow. And thank you so much. We did share the last CEU numbers. Let's see. Now, Cass, are you still with us?
I'm here.
You are. If you'll be so kind and just post that last CEU number.
Oh, yes, I did it. I will do it happily again.
Or the first and the second one. And with that being said, I think we'll go ahead and give you guys about 10 minutes back to your day. Enjoy either your late lunch or an early dinner. Stay cool if you're in South Texas, and if you're up north someplace, enjoy the beautiful summer days up there. Thanks so much, Kylie. I'll
Hey,
give you a thumbs
Manuel,
up.
in
Yes,
order
sir.
to be a good peer support specialist, you have to have a pocket protector.
Pocket protector,
Yeah.
and that's
It's
the real
mandatory. Man
that,
or woman, you got to have a pocket protector.
that's the real deal, huh?
Thank you, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Love it. And then let's see, as we hang up here, um, is it Terry with Nowcast?
Yes, I'm here.
Is there any way that we can communicate after this last session? My phone is still acting a little bit weird, and I'd love to just have a quick little wrap up with you.
Sure. Do you still have access to the Google Docs?
I do.
I will post my email there, and then we can email.
Okay. Yes, we can do that.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you so much. Listen, guys, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, bright and early, 9:30 Central Time.